We're back again. SwamiLee's Sports Talk. I'm SwamiLee.
Good evening. I am Mellow Mike.
And we're here to talk some sports with you. As always, you have no idea where Mike is going with anything he's going to discuss with me. We're just going to see what he has to say. I do know we're going to be discussing some football today. So let's find out what it is that Mike wants to talk about. What you got for me today, Mike?
Well, I know that you've been giving your weekly picks, and we're not going to go there. We're going to look ahead about 2.5 months, or 3 months from now. As things look now, who do you see coming out of the NFC? Who do you see in the NFC Championship game, and who do you see winning it, and why?
Well, this is a tough one because the NFC stinks. Even the good teams stink compared to the AFC. There's only, if you really think about it, I mean, the East is terrible. Terrible. They're not going anywhere. Really, the only teams that are any good right now, in my opinion, are the Seahawks and the Cardinals. And I don't think the Cardinals are good enough. So I think the Seahawks are going to back into the Super Bowl, if you want my opinion.
Well, I do agree with you in part. I think the Seahawks are going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. I think that, I think Russell Wilson is going to carry them there. I think Pete Carroll is still a hell of a coach, and there's not much by way of opposition to overwhelm them. I do think you may be underselling the Packers a little bit.
Not after last week, I'm not. Yeah, right now, after that debacle against, was the Vikings, I think it was? Forget it. The Packers are toast. They'll win 10, 11 games. They'll win a playoff game. But they're not going to beat the Seahawks. No way.
No, but I see them getting to the championship game over Arizona.
It depends on who's seated where. That's going to be the key. Who's seated, who plays whom early on.
Absolutely, but I'm confident that Seattle's going to win that division, and so Arizona is not going to have a home game in the playoffs. Green Bay will get at least one.
Green Bay, yeah, I'm with you on that, but I don't think they're going anywhere.
Well, we will see who's right in a few months because I see them getting to the championship game before losing to Seattle.
Well, I think you forget that SwamiLee sees all.
I do. I'm glad you've reminded me, and assuming that you are right and I'm wrong, you can feel free to remind me of that in January too.
Be more than happy to do so. Now, the AFC, I think you and I are going to... Well, here's the problem. The AFC, obviously, I'm going with Pittsburgh. Okay? That being said, how confident am I that Pittsburgh is going to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs? I just don't know what to say. Because, I mean, they're good enough to take these big leads in the game. They're bad enough to lose the big lead almost. And they're good enough to not blow it completely, the Steelers. The Chiefs, we know what the Chiefs are. And they're damn good in spite of their coach. So, I can't argue with somebody that tells me that the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. But I will say that it is far from a sure thing. That's the best way I can respond to that.
Well, I agree it's not a sure thing, but if somebody held a gun to my head, I'd have to go with the Chiefs. We've seen what their offense is.
True.
Obviously, it's not quite the same offense as it was last year, but we saw them come back from double-digit deficits in each playoff game, and not just win little, but win big. And the nucleus is still the same as last season. So I see them going to the Super Bowl, and I do see them beating Pittsburgh in the AFC Championship game.
Would it surprise me if that happened? Absolutely not. Would I bet my life on it? Absolutely not.
Okay, well, hopefully we will disagree vigorously about something. We do have a few more things to discuss.
I gotcha. Well, remember, we're not one of those shows that purposely disagrees just to entertain people.
Oh, no, that's certainly true.
In other words,
of course,
Sports Radio Philadelphia, where they just so happen to agree on absolutely nothing, the two hosts.
And of course, we're entertaining enough without disagreement.
Of course. I'll do a tap dance later.
I'll be tuning out before that.
You won't be the first and won't be the last.
So, I don't know if you've noticed, but the Eagles' $100 million quarterback, one Carson Wentz, has not exactly put on a great show, and in fact leads the league in turnovers. And if you look just at the numbers, he has not progressed in this his fifth season, but he's taken many steps back.
Many steps back.
And there could be a number of reasons for that. We no doubt will talk about some of them, but the fundamental question is, have we reached the point where Carson needs to be benched at least briefly? Why or why not?
Okay, you just say you bench him. Who's starting?
Well, if he's playing badly enough that he needs to be benched, then you're either going to haul Josh McCown up from Texas and have him start, or
time out. Josh McCown is on the Houston Texans roster right now, just so you know.
When did that happen?
It happened very recently. Yes, he is officially a Houston Texan. No longer on the Eagles practice squad.
Well, there's always their second-round pick, Jalen Hurts.
Do you feel Jalen Hurts is ready? In other words, you're a team in first place in your division. I don't care what your record is. You could be 1-7. You're still the first place team. Are you ready to give the reins to a second-round pick in this situation? In other words, is Jalen Hurts better than Carson Wentz right now? You see, when the Titans benched Marcus Mariota for Ryan Tannehill, they thought that Ryan Tannehill was at least as good as Mariota, if not better. Obviously, they were right, but this was a guy with 6-7 years of NFL service. You're going to give it to a guy who has 7 games? Who, by the way, on the few passes I've seen, he's looked pretty good. If Wentz went down with an injury, I wouldn't necessarily be upset with Hurts as my quarterback rolling the dice. Let's be clear about this. But with a healthy Wentz, I don't think you have a quarterback to take over. If the Eagles had signed Marcus Mariota as a free agent and he was number 2, I might give him a shot. But I'm not giving the shot to a second-round pick that, is not, in my opinion, ready.
Well, something needs to be done about Wentz. And
100% correct.
And unfortunately, we don't have what we had in 1992 when they benched Randall Cunningham for a week in favor of Jim McMahon. Cunningham got his head screwed on and they went to the playoffs. We don't have what they had in 2008 when they benched McNabb for a week.
Let's take a step back for a moment. Let's take a step back for a minute. Jim McMahon, tell me there was not a more fun NFL quarterback than Jim McMahon.
Joe Namath, end of story. Bang.
I wish I could argue with you on that one. You kind of ambushed me on that one. But Jim McMahon was just fun. I mean, he was just fun. Remember when he put Roselle across his headband because he gotten fined for wearing something that he wasn't supposed to wear? Oh, man, he was a fun guy, Jim McMahon. It was exciting when he came. I'm not an Eagles fan, as everybody knows. It was exciting when Jim McMahon was here. Sorry, got sidetracked, but I love Jim McMahon.
Yeah, but he's not your favorite BYU grad.
Well, he's my favorite NFL BYU grad. How about that?
You were a Ty Detmer lover. Have you forgotten?
Oh, I think you're wrong about that.
Well, we know who I was going for, of course.
I think you threw me off on that one.
Andy Reid.
Oh, I was thinking you were talking about Dan Horton. But he didn't graduate.
I don't think he's a BYU grad.
That's true. You kind of remember, this is unscripted, so you can catch me off guard on things like that. So, Anyway, so you were saying 2008?
McNabb got benched for a game, came back, and put together a relatively impressive run to the NFC Championship game. Unfortunately, the Eagles don't have someone to play the role that was played in 2008 by, was it A.J. Feely? I don't even remember who played that game.
Oh, I don't even. That was Kevin Cobb was around in 2008. I know that.
No, he didn't play in that one game when McNabb got benched.
You got me.
You don't have a Jim McMahon.
You know what? It might have been Feely, because remember they traded him for like a second-round pick to the Dolphins in one of the worst trades in Dolphin history, for God's sake? So it might have been. He may have had a good game, and they may have decided to trade him in the offseason. That could have been it. Craziness.
Could be.
Without a doubt. So, yeah, in my opinion, I just don't think that they have a player to put in there that you can't take a chance of losing a game you should have won. That's the bottom line.
No, the bottom line is, unfortunately, that they may go to the playoffs as a 6-win team, and as long as they are in control of their own destiny, they've got to ride the Wentz wagon, as some people would say.
Well, SwamiLee sees all, and SwamiLee said 7-8-1 for the Eagles.
And when did the Swami say that?
Last week. It's on video. Actually, it was this week. It's on video. SwamiLee, 7-8-1. So anyway, as we're running out of time, Mike, what else you got for me here?
Well, real quick. The problems with the Eagles organization don't stop at Carson Wentz. They go right up into the executive offices, Howie Roseman, Doug Peterson. So are we at the point where Jeffrey Lurie really starts to think seriously about making fundamental changes to the way the football operations are run, which would necessarily involve jettisoning Roseman, bringing in someone else who would then bring in his own staff, coaching staff?
There's no way on hell's earth, you can mark my words, there is no way Doug Peterson gets fired. So keep that in the back of your mind. The guy won a Super Bowl here, and I don't care how the team is not looking great. They're a first-place team. They've had a lot of injuries. He's not going anywhere. And if you're right. And
what about Howie Roseman?
Hang on. You fire Howie Roseman, the new guy's going to want to bring in his own staff. Not necessarily tomorrow, but he's going to want to bring his own staff. Do you want to be the guy who fires Doug Peterson 2 years after winning a Super Bowl when your team is still competitive? This isn't 5 years later. Your team was 4-12 last year. This is 2 years, and you're in first place, and you're going to back into this division. If you go 6-9-1, you're still winning the division. And remember, there's another game against the Giants. There's another game against the Washington football team. They're going to win both those games. You mark my words. And they got a game against the Cowboys. The Cowboys are awful. That's 3 wins right there. What do they have now? 3 wins now?
3-4-1.
That's 6-4-1. They're probably going to go 1-4 the rest of the way, aside from that, and they're 7-8-1. So, yeah, I mean, again, I'm not saying long term, but what I am saying is, it ain't happening soon. Go 5-11-1 this year and don't win the division. Go 7-9 next year. Maybe.
Well, I agree. Peterson's time hasn't come, but Howie Roseman's time has, because in the past 2 years, what has he done right? And what has he done right that's not dumb luck? And maybe that's a topic for another day.
It probably is. And honestly, I think I'd have to prepare for that one, because I'm looking at this team, and it looks like they've got a couple good receivers. I mean, they pulled Fulgham out of the scrap heap. I mean, I didn't think he'd do any better after one. Even the blind squirrel finds a nut. That first game, I thought, okay, he got lucky, but he's obviously. I'm not saying he's Jerry Rice, but he's obviously an NFL wide receiver.
Oh, clearly. And I'd say how he lucked into him.
Yes, but that's part. I'd rather be lucky than good. It's a cliche, but it's very true. I'd rather be lucky than good.
Unfortunately, most of what Howie's done right has been being lucky rather than being good, at least in the past 2 years. And that's why it's time for Howie to go.
I gotcha. But I just don't think they're ready to make changes on a team in management 2 years after a Super Bowl. Now, I could be all wet. Or is it 3 years?
I think you're right. I don't think they're ready, but they should be.
Time will tell. Time will tell. Well, Mike, I think that what you've learned today is that the Eagles will win the division and then get their doors blown off in the playoffs. I saw that. And we will see how it goes.
We will have many more shows before then.
Indeed.
We will dissect the Eagles and many other teams.
Final thoughts for the day, Mike?
I'm glad the Eagles have their bye week this week, because I can't handle more roller coaster this weekend.
Well, again, they're going to win their 3 division games. They're going to win another game, and they're going to finish 7-8-1. You heard it here. And remember, SwamiLee sees all. Keep in mind, SwamiLee's sports picks are every week. So far, the Swami's doing pretty well. So if you're betting with him, you're making some money. So until next time, I'm SwamiLee.
I am Mellow Mike.
And we'll see you on a good day, bad day, whenever we see you again. Should be next week. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.